She hit the mud face first.
She's unstoppable.
8 men laughed as Louisiana swamp water filled her mouth. Pathetic, one spat near her head. American women are weak like children. Riley Dawson didn't move, didn't fight back. Just lay there trembling, not from fear, but from restraint. Because if she moved, if she showed them what she really was, people would die. And not the people they expected. Bayou Survival Academy. October 15th. 6. Before we continue, please subscribe to our channel and follow Riley's story until the very end. Comment your city below. I want to see how far this story travels. Riley Dawson ran through darkness. 5. She pushed harder. 20 years old, 5'2", 110 pounds soaking wet. The kind of girl people looked right through. The kind of girl nobody remembered 5 minutes after meeting her. That was the point. Riley reached the edge of Bayou Survival Academy and slowed to a walk. The camp sat deep in Louisiana swamp country, a collection of weathered buildings surrounded by cypress trees and black water. Fog hung low over everything, thick as secrets. Her cabin was the smallest, farthest from the main lodge. She'd requested it specifically. "Morning, Lily." Riley turned. Colonel Marcus Stone stood on the lodge porch, coffee mug in hand. 68 years old, built like a man 20 years younger. Gray hair buzzed military short. Eyes that had seen things most people couldn't imagine. "Morning, Colonel. You're up early, even for you." Couldn't sleep. Stone studied her the way he always did, like he was reading a file instead of a face. "Bad dreams again." Riley didn't answer. She didn't need to. Marcus Stone had been Delta Force for 22 years. Operation Desert Storm, Somalia, Afghanistan. The man had more classified operations than birthdays. He'd retired 8 years ago, bought this swampland, built a survival training camp. And 6 months ago, he'd given Riley Dawson a place to disappear. "Coffee's fresh," Stone said. "Real coffee. Not that instant garbage." Riley climbed the porch steps. Her wet boots left tracks on the wood. "Anyone else up? Just us ghosts." The word hit different. Ghost. Her call sign. The name she'd earned in places she couldn't talk about, doing things she couldn't forget. Lieutenant Riley Dawson. United States Navy SEAL. The youngest person in history to complete BUD/S training. The only woman in her class to graduate. 18 years old when she earned her trident. 19 when she started commanding missions that senior officers couldn't handle. At 20, she was already a legend. At 20, she was already broken. Inside the lodge, Riley poured coffee into a chipped ceramic mug. Her hands were steady. They were always steady, even when everything inside her was screaming. "New group coming in today," Stone said, settling into his chair by the fireplace. 8 men, European. Executives, supposedly. Supposedly, they paid triple rate, cash, requested the back cabins away from other guests. Riley's instincts flickered. That's unusual. That's suspicious. Stone sipped his coffee. But suspicious pays the bills. "When do they arrive?" "Noon." Riley nodded, filed the information away. Not her concern. She was just the maintenance worker here. Just Lily Daniels, the quiet girl who fixed broken boards and cleaned cabins and never made eye contact with guests. Nobody special. Nobody dangerous. "Riley." She looked up at the sound of her real name. Stone rarely used it. "You've been here 6 months," he said carefully. "You planning to stay forever?" "I'm planning to stay invisible." That's not the same thing. Riley set down her mug. What do you want me to say, Colonel? That I'm ready to go back, that I've healed. She shook her head. 7 people died because of me. My team. My family. They're gone and I'm still here and I don't know how to live with that. Stone was quiet for a long moment. Then, your uncle said the same thing once. Riley went very still. Commander David Dawson. Her uncle. Her hero. The man who'd raised her after her parents died in a car accident when she was 8. Navy SEAL. 23 years of service. Killed in action in Afghanistan when Riley was 12. His death was why she'd enlisted. His legacy was why she'd pushed herself harder than anyone thought possible. His memory was why she couldn't stop running. David blamed himself for every man he lost, Stone continued. Carried them around like stones in his pockets. You know what he told me once? Riley's voice was barely a whisper. What? He said the dead don't want us to suffer. They want us to live, to make their sacrifice mean something. Stone leaned forward. 7 people died in Yemen, Riley. But you survived. You survived for a reason. I survived because I got lucky. You survived because you're the best damn operator I've ever seen. And that includes your uncle. Riley felt tears threatening. She forced them down. Seals didn't cry. Ghosts didn't feel. I should get to work, she said. Cabins need cleaning before the new group arrives. Stone let her go. He always did. Riley spent the morning in routine work. Cabin 3, clear the fireplace. Cabin 4, fix the leaky pipe. Cabin 5, replace the broken window lock. Physical labor kept her hands busy and her mind quiet. That was the point. Keep moving. Keep working. Don't think about Yemen. Don't think about the ambush. Don't think about Martinez screaming into the radio while she stop. Riley gripped the edge of the sink, knuckles white. Breathe. Just breathe. She was in cabin 6 when she heard the vehicles. 2 engines. Heavy. Not the usual pickup trucks that brought tourists. Riley moved to the window. 2 black Chevy Suburbans rolled up the main drive. Tinted windows. New tires. The kind of vehicles that screamed government or something worse. 8 men climbed out. Riley watched them carefully. The way they moved, the way they scanned the area, the way they naturally formed a perimeter without discussing it. These weren't executives. One man stood out from the others. Tall, maybe 6'1". Dirty blonde hair, sharp features. Expensive outdoor jacket that had never seen actual wilderness. When he turned, Riley caught his profile. Slavic features. Eastern European. He surveyed the property with professional interest, not the way a tourist looked at a place, the way an operator cleared a location. Riley's stomach tightened. Colonel Stone emerged from the lodge to greet them. Handshakes, introductions. The tall man did most of the talking, animated, friendly, charming. His companions stayed quiet, letting him play the role. 7 quiet men and 1 talker. Standard team configuration. Riley pulled back from the window. Her heart was beating faster now. The old instincts were waking up, the ones she'd tried so hard to bury. Stop it, she told herself. You're not that person anymore. You're Lily Daniels. You're nobody. But the feeling wouldn't go away. Something was wrong. The group's leader introduced himself as Viktor Sokolov, tech entrepreneur from Prague. His companions were business partners, he said. Associates. They were here for team building, stress relief, getting back to nature. Riley heard all of this from the kitchen where she was restocking supplies. She kept her head down, made herself small, invisible. And this facility can accommodate our need for privacy, Victor asked Stone. His English was excellent, barely accented. Back cabins are completely isolated, Stone replied. Half-mile from the main lodge. You won't be disturbed. Perfect. Victor's smile didn't reach his eyes. My associates value discretion. Riley watched him through the kitchen window. Something about the way he moved, the way he held himself. It reminded her of someone. It reminded her of herself. Controlled, calculating, dangerous. The small one. Riley froze. Victor was looking directly at her. Is she staff? He asked Stone. Lily, maintenance worker. Been with us about 6 months. Victor studied her for a long moment. Riley kept her eyes down her posture, submissive. Just a simple maintenance girl. Nothing to see here. She looks young, Victor observed. She's 20, works hard, keeps to herself. Victor nodded slowly. Then he smiled a different smile, warmer. I apologize for staring. You remind me of someone. My niece, perhaps. He turned away, dismissing her entirely. Riley's hands were shaking. She gripped the counter until they stopped. He'd looked right at her, right through her. But he hadn't seen the truth. Nobody ever did. That night, Riley couldn't sleep. She lay in her small cabin, staring at the ceiling, listening to the swamp sounds outside. Frogs, insects, the occasional splash of something moving through water. 7 men. She kept seeing their faces, the way they walked, the way they watched everything without appearing to watch anything. You're being paranoid, she told herself. They're just businessmen, rich Europeans playing survival games. But her instincts wouldn't shut up. At 2 a.m. she got out of bed, dressed in dark clothes, moved silently through the camp toward the back cabins. Just checking. Just making sure. The night was thick with fog. Riley navigated by memory, each step careful, controlled. She'd mapped this entire property in her first week. Every building, every trail, every possible escape route. Old habits died hard. She reached the perimeter of the back cabins and stopped. No lights visible, no movement, just quiet. See, nothing wrong. Then she heard voices. Russian. Riley pressed herself against a tree, controlling her breathing. The voices were coming from cabin 8, Victor's cabin. She moved closer. Timeline is confirmed, 72 hours. Riley's Russian was excellent. 4 years of study plus 3 classified operations in Eastern Europe. The target arrives tomorrow night, another voice said. Security will be minimal. And the extraction point, boat 12 miles south, will be in international waters before they even find the body. Riley's blood went cold. Target. Body. These men weren't here for survival training. They were here for an assassination. What about the camp? A third voice asked. Deeper. Rougher. Witnesses. Acceptable losses. Victor's voice calm and clinical. Make it look like an accident. Gas leak, perhaps. Fire. By the time investigators arrive, we'll be gone. Riley stopped breathing. Acceptable losses. That meant Stone. That meant the other staff. That meant her. The American senator won't know what hit him, Victor continued. Senator Morrison has been a thorn in Moscow's side for too long. His committee has cost us 3 operations this year alone. Senator Morrison. Riley knew that name. Chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, one of the most powerful men in Washington. He'd been investigating Russian interference for years, pushing for sanctions, demanding accountability. And he was going to be murdered. Here. In this swamp. by 8 men that everyone thought were businessmen. "What about the old man?" the rough voice asked. "The camp owner. I don't like the way he looks at us." "Colonel Stone is a problem," Victor agreed. "Former Delta Force. If he suspects anything, we eliminate him first." "And the girl, the maintenance worker," Victor laughed. "Please, she's harmless. Did you see her tiny, quiet, scared of her own shadow? She'll burn with the rest of them." Riley's hands curled into fists. Harmless. Scared. Burn with the rest of them. Part of her wanted to burst through that door right now, show them exactly how harmless she was, but she forced herself to stay still, stay calm. 8 trained operatives, probably Spetsnaz or equivalent. She could take 2, maybe 3, before they overwhelmed her. She needed a plan. She needed information. She needed to find out who their target really was and when the hit was scheduled. Slowly, carefully, Riley retreated into the darkness. Back in her cabin, Riley sat on the edge of her bed, mind racing. 72 hours. Senator Morrison. 8 Russian operatives. She should call someone. FBI, CIA, local police. But by the time anyone responded, Victor's team would know. They'd accelerate their timeline or disappear entirely. Either way, people would die. And there was something else. Something Victor had said that was nagging at her. His committee has cost us 3 operations this year. 3 operations. Russian operations. Compromised because of American intelligence. That sounded like... Riley's breath caught. The Morozov Network. She'd heard that name before. In briefings. In classified reports. An intelligence network that sold American secrets to Russian handlers. They'd been operating for years, responsible for dozens of compromised missions, including Yemen, including her team. Riley's hands started shaking again, but this time it wasn't fear. It was rage. These men weren't just assassins. They were connected to the same network that had gotten her people killed, the same network that had leaked their position to enemy forces, the same network that had murdered 7 American operators and left Riley alone in the desert with their blood on her hands. Coincidence? Or something else? Riley stood up, walked to her closet, reached into the back behind the work clothes and old boots. A black duffel bag. She hadn't opened it in 6 months. Hadn't wanted to. Hadn't been able to. Her hands moved on autopilot, unzipping the bag, pulling out the contents. Custom sniper rifle broken down. 2 tactical pistols. 3 combat knives. Body armor. Night vision. Suppressor. And at the bottom, wrapped in a worn bandana, 7 dog tags. Martinez, Sullivan, Rodriguez, Thompson, Chen, Williams, Garcia, her team, her family, her dead. Riley picked up the dog tags, felt their weight in her palm, cold metal warming against her skin. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm sorry I couldn't save you." The dog tags didn't answer. They never did. But somehow Riley felt like they were listening. At 5:00 a.m., she was back at the main lodge. Stone was already awake, coffee brewing. He looked up when she walked in. "You look like you haven't slept." "I haven't." Riley closed the door behind her, checked the windows. "We need to talk." Stone's expression shifted. The casual camp owner disappeared. Delta Force stepped forward. "What's wrong?" "The new guests. They're not businessmen." "I know." Riley blinked. "You know, I suspected from the moment they arrived, the way they move, the way they watch, those men are operators." Stone set down his coffee. "What did you find out?" Riley told him everything. The conversation she'd overheard, Senator Morrison, the 72-hour timeline, The plan to eliminate witnesses. Stone listened without interrupting. When she finished, his face was grim. Morrison is supposed to be at a hunting lodge about 15 miles east of here. Private property, minimal security. Only his closest friends know he's even in Louisiana. How do you know that? Because I'm one of those friends. Stone met her eyes. David introduced us years ago. Morrison supported SEAL funding when he was just a junior senator. He's one of the good ones. Riley processed this. So you're the connection. That's why Victor's team chose this camp. Close proximity to the target isolated location, and they can eliminate the only person who might warn Morrison. Makes sense. Stone's jaw tightened. I've been played. We both have. Stone was quiet for a moment. Then, what do you want to do? Riley knew what he was really asking. Are you ready? She thought about the dog tags in her pocket, the 7 names she carried everywhere. I want to stop them. You've been out of the game for 6 months. I've been hiding for 6 months. There's a difference. Stone studied her. This won't be clean. 8 operators military trained. Even with both of us. Not both of us. Riley shook her head. You contact Morrison. Get him out of here. I'll handle Victor's team. Alone against 8. I've faced worse odds. When you had backup. When you had a team. My team is dead. Riley's voice was flat. I don't need another one. Stone grabbed her arm. Riley, listen to me. I knew your uncle for 15 years. We bled together in places you've never heard of, and I made him a promise before he died if anything ever happened, I'd watch out for you. I don't need watching out for. Everyone needs watching out for. That's the whole damn point. Stone's grip tightened. You're not doing this alone. Period. Riley looked at him, this old warrior who'd given her shelter when she had nowhere else to go, who'd asked no questions, who'd let her hide. You could die, she said. I've been dying since 1983. Every day above ground is borrowed time. Stone smiled grimly. Besides, I didn't survive 30 years of black ops just to be taken out by a gas leak. Riley felt something crack inside her, something that had been frozen for 6 months. Okay, she said quietly. Partners. Partners. Stone released her arm. Now let's figure out how 2 broken old soldiers are going to stop a Russian hit squad. Riley almost laughed. Almost. They planned through the morning. Stone would contact Morrison through secure channels, warn him about the threat, coordinate an emergency extraction. Riley would monitor Victor's team, track their movements, identify their weapons and equipment. When the time came, she'd be ready. What's your loadout? Stone asked. Rifle, 2 pistols, 3 knives. Ammunition? 60 rounds rifle, 40 rounds pistol. Stone nodded. I've got a cache here. Old equipment, but functional. AR-15 shotgun, couple handguns. We can supplement if needed. The terrain will be our advantage, Riley said, studying the camp map. They don't know this swamp. I do. Every trail, every crossing, every deadfall. Use the water, Stone agreed. Force them into the bayou. They'll be fighting the environment as much as they're fighting you. And if Morrison won't leave, then we protect him here. Stone's eyes were hard. Whatever it takes. Riley nodded. Whatever it takes. The morning passed in tense preparation. Riley went through the motions of her normal work cleaning cabins, hauling supplies while mentally rehearsing tactical scenarios. 8 targets, 8 kills. She could do this. She had to do this. At noon, Victor's team emerged from their cabins. They were dressed in outdoor gear now, ready for the day's survival training. Riley watched from a distance as Stone led them toward the obstacle course. Victor caught her eye as he passed. Good morning, little one, he said pleasantly. Beautiful day, yes. Riley ducked her head. Yes, sir. Victor smiled and walked on. Little one. Harmless. He had no idea. But he would. Soon. The afternoon brought the first test. Riley was hauling firewood to cabin 6 when she encountered 2 of Victor's men on the trail. Gregor, the massive one, who'd barely spoken, and another called Dmitri, wiry, cold-eyed, dangerous. They blocked her path. The maintenance girl, Gregor said in accented English. His voice was deep rough. You work very hard for someone so small. Riley kept her eyes down. Just doing my job. In my country, women don't do this work. Gregor stepped closer. Women cook, clean, take care of children. Not, he gestured at the firewood. This. I like staying busy. Busy, Gregor laughed. It wasn't a kind sound. You Americans, always busy, running, never stopping to ask why. Riley said nothing. Look at me when I speak to you. She looked up. Gregor's eyes were flat, dead. The eyes of someone who'd killed and would kill again without hesitation. You are very quiet, he observed. Very careful. I notice these things. He leaned closer. What are you hiding, little mouse? Riley's heart pounded, but her voice stayed steady. Nothing, sir. I'm just a maintenance worker. Just a maintenance worker. Gregor held her gaze for a long moment. Then he stepped aside. Go. Do your work. But remember, I am watching. Riley walked past him, forcing herself not to run. Behind her, Gregor said something to Dmitri in Russian. There's something wrong with that one. Too calm, too controlled. She's nobody. Victor said so. Victor is sometimes wrong. Riley kept walking. She made it around the corner before her hands started shaking. Gregor had noticed. Not everything, but something. The timeline had just gotten shorter. That evening, Riley made her report to Stone. Gregor suspects something, she said. He won't act yet, but he's watching me. Then we move tonight. What about Morrison? Made contact through back channels. He's refusing to leave. Stone's face was frustrated. Stubborn bastard says he won't run from Russian threats. Says that's exactly what they want. Then we have to protect him here. That's the plan. I'm heading to his location at 2200, setting up a perimeter establishing security protocols. Stone paused. You should come with me. And leave Victor's team unwatched. No, I stay here, track their movements. When they make their move, I'll be ready. Riley, you can't protect Morrison and fight Victor at the same time. We both know that. She met his eyes. Let me do what I'm trained to do. Stone was quiet. Then, your uncle would kill me if he knew what I was letting you do. My uncle trained me himself until I was 12. He'd understand. That's what scares me. Stone sighed. Fine, we do it your way. But if things go sideways, they won't. If they do, fall back here. We regroup. We don't die heroes, understand? Riley nodded. Understood. But they both knew the truth. Some fights you didn't walk away from. At 2100, Stone loaded his equipment into his truck. Secure channel frequency 7, he said. Check in every 2 hours. Copy. And Riley. He paused, one hand on the door. Whatever happens tonight, I'm glad you came here. I'm glad I got to know you. Don't get sentimental on me, Colonel. Too late for that. He climbed in the truck. Stay alive, kid. You too. The truck pulled away tail lights, disappearing into the darkness. Riley stood alone in the empty camp. 8 men. 1 night. Everything she'd been running from was about to catch up with her. She walked back to her cabin, changed into tactical blacks, and began loading her weapons. The ghost was waking up. And the ghost never missed. Riley finished loading her last magazine when she heard footsteps outside her cabin. She froze, hand moving to the pistol on her bed. 3 knocks. Slow, deliberate. "Lily, you in there?" She recognized the voice. Jenny Walker, the camp's cook. 62 years old, worked here for 15 years. Riley exhaled, slid the pistol under her pillow. "1 second." She opened the door just enough to show her face. Jenny stood on the porch, worry lines creasing her forehead. "Colonel Stone asked me to check on you before I left. Said you weren't feeling well." "Just tired. Long day." Jenny peered past her into the dark cabin. "You sure, honey? You look pale." "I'm fine, really. Those new guests," Jenny lowered her voice. "They give me the creeps. The big one, Gregor. He came into my kitchen today, just stood there watching me cook. Didn't say a word, just watched." Riley's jaw tightened. "Stay away from them." "That's what I figured." Jenny pulled her jacket tighter. "I'm heading home now. Bobby's picking me up. You need anything before I go?" "No, thank you." "Lock your door tonight, Lily." Jenny's eyes were serious. "I don't trust those men." "Neither do I," Riley thought. "Neither do I." She watched Jenny walk toward the parking lot, watched her get into her husband's truck, watched the taillights disappear down the road. One less civilian to worry about. Riley closed her door, locked it, and returned to her weapons. The night was just beginning. 2 hours passed. Riley monitored the back cabins through night vision tracking movements. Victor's team stayed inside lights on shadows passing behind curtained windows. Planning. Preparing. Just like her. At 2300, her radio crackled. "Ghost, this is Stone. Check in." Riley keyed her mic. "Ghost copies. All quiet here. Victor's team is still in their cabins." "Copy that. Morrison's secure. I've got eyes on his location. Security is tighter than he admitted. 2 private guards plus local sheriff making rounds." "That won't stop Victor." "No, it won't." Stone paused. "Anything else to report?" "Gregor's suspicious. Questioned me on the trail today. He knows something's off." "Can you maintain cover? For now?" "For now isn't good enough, Riley. It'll have to be." Static. Then, "Check in at 0100. Stone out." Riley set down the radio. Through her window she could see the faint glow from cabin 8. Victor's cabin. "What are you planning?" She needed more information. The conversation she'd overheard gave her a timeline, but not details. How were they planning to reach Morrison? What weapons? What extraction route? There was only one way to find out. Riley holstered her pistol, strapped a knife to her ankle, and slipped out into the darkness. The fog had thickened. Good for concealment. Bad for visibility. Riley moved by instinct, each step silent, controlled. She'd learned to move like this in places where sound meant death. She reached the perimeter of the back cabins and stopped. Voices. Russian again, but different this time. Arguing. Riley crept closer, pressing herself against the side of cabin 7. The voices were coming from the space between buildings. "Too risky. We should abort." "Abort," Victor's voice cold and sharp. "After 6 months of planning, after everything we've invested. The old man knows something. I see it in his eyes. Colonel Stone is a washed-up soldier playing camp counselor. He suspects nothing. And the girl..." Silence. Riley held her breath. "What about her?" Victor asked. "Gregor says she's wrong. Too calm, too careful. He thinks she's military. Victor laughed. Military. She's 5'2" and weighs nothing. She flinches when you raise your voice. She's a traumatized little mouse, nothing more. Gregor is rarely wrong about these things. Gregor is paranoid. It's why he's useful and why he's annoying. Victor's tone hardened. We proceed as planned. Tomorrow we conduct reconnaissance. The day after we execute. Senator Morrison dies, and we extract before anyone knows what happened. What about witnesses? The camp burns. Everyone inside burns with it. By the time investigators sift through the ashes, we'll be drinking vodka in Prague. Riley's hands curled into fists. Burns. Everyone burns. There's something else, the other voice Dmitri Riley realized. Moscow sent updated intelligence. The Morozov contact confirmed Morrison's schedule. Riley's heart stopped. Morozov. Good, Victor said. Our friends in Washington continue to prove their worth. They want proof of completion, photos documentation. They'll get what they paid for. The Morozov network has invested heavily in this operation. We will not disappoint them. Riley couldn't breathe. The Morozov network. The same network that had sold her team's position in Yemen. The same network that had gotten 7 people killed. The same network she'd sworn to destroy. And now they were here, in this swamp, planning another assassination. This wasn't coincidence. This was fate. Riley retreated into the darkness, her mind racing. She needed to tell Stone, needed to update the mission parameters. This wasn't just about protecting Senator Morrison anymore. This was about justice. This was about her team. She was halfway back to her cabin when a hand grabbed her shoulder. Riley reacted on instinct. Spun struck, felt her elbow connect with something solid. Ow, Jesus, Lily. She stopped mid-strike. Tommy Chen, 23 years old. Part-time maintenance worker. He'd been hired 2 months ago, usually worked weekends. Tommy. Riley's heart was pounding. What are you doing here? Tommy rubbed his chest where she'd hit him. I was about to ask you the same thing. Colonel Stone called me in for extra shifts, said he needed help with the new group. He stared at her. Why are you dressed like that? And how did you move so fast? Riley looked down at herself. Black tactical clothing. Knife visible on her ankle. Night vision pushed up on her forehead. Stupid. Careless. I was checking the perimeter, she said lamely. In the middle of the night dressed like a ninja. Tommy's eyes narrowed. What's going on, Lily? Nothing. Go back to your cabin. I've been trying to figure you out for 2 months. Tommy stepped closer. You never talk to anyone. You work twice as hard as the rest of us. And sometimes when you think no one's watching, you get this look in your eyes. Like you're somewhere else. Somewhere bad. Tommy, who are you really? Riley's hand moved to her knife. She didn't want to hurt him. But if he compromised her mission, I'm nobody, she said quietly. Just a maintenance worker. Bull. Tommy crossed his arms. I grew up military. My dad was Army Rangers 20 years. I know a soldier when I see one. You walk like one. You watch everything like one. And that move you just did, that wasn't self-defense class. That was combat training. Riley said nothing. Those new guests, Tommy continued. They're not businessmen, are they? What makes you say that? Because I've been watching them too. The way they communicate hand signals, code words. The way they're always scanning for threats. That big one, Gregor, he's got prison tattoos, Russian ones. Saw them when he reached for something. Tommy's voice dropped. What are they really here for? Riley made a decision. Possibly a mistake. But she needed allies, and Tommy had already seen too much. They're here to kill someone. Tommy's face went pale. Kill who? A United States Senator. Holy... Tommy stepped back. We need to call the police, FBI. Someone. Already handled. Colonel Stone is working with federal contacts. Then why are you out here alone dressed like that? Because someone needs to watch Victor's team, track their movements, be ready if they move early. Tommy stared at her for a long moment. You're not a maintenance worker. No. Who are you? Riley hesitated. Then, someone who's done this before. Tommy processed this. She could see him deciding, weighing his options. What can I do? He finally asked. Go back to your cabin. Lock your door. If you hear anything tonight, anything at all, stay inside. I'm not going to just... Tommy. Riley grabbed his arm. These men are killers. Professionals. If they see you, if they suspect you know anything, they will put a bullet in your head without hesitation. Do you understand? He swallowed. Yeah, I understand. Good. Now go. Tommy turned to leave, then stopped. Lily, or whatever your name is. Be careful. I always am. She watched him disappear into the fog, then continued toward her cabin. One more complication. One more person to protect. The mission was getting messier by the minute. Riley was almost to her door when she heard something that made her blood freeze. A scream. Female. Coming from the main lodge. Riley sprinted. Her feet barely touched the ground, years of training taking over. The lodge was 200 yards away. She covered it in under 30 seconds. The front door was open. Riley drew her pistol pressed against the wall, listened. Crying. Whimpering. She moved inside. Jenny Walker sat on the floor of the kitchen, blood running from a cut on her forehead. Gregor stood over her, his massive frame blocking the light. I ask again, Gregor said calmly. Where is Colonel Stone? I don't know, Jenny sobbed. I came back because I forgot my phone. Please, I don't know anything. You're lying. He raised his hand to strike her. Riley stepped out of the shadows. Hey. Gregor turned. Riley's pistol was aimed at his chest. Back away from her. Gregor's eyes widened slightly. Then he smiled. The little mouse. I knew something was wrong with you. I said back away, or what you'll shoot me. Gregor took a step forward. You're trembling. You've never killed anyone. I can see it in your eyes. Riley's hands were steady. You're wrong about that. Am I? Another step. I've killed 47 people. Men, women, soldiers, civilians. I know what a killer looks like. You're not one. Last warning. Gregor moved fast. Faster than a man his size should be able to move. His hand shot out, grabbed the barrel of Riley's pistol, twisted. Riley let him take it, because while he was focused on the gun, her knife was already in her other hand. She slashed across his forearm. Deep, muscle and tendon. Gregor roared, stumbled back. Blood poured from the wound. You little... Riley was already moving. Kick to his knee, elbow to his throat, palm strike to his nose. Gregor went down hard. But he was trained, too. He rolled, came up swinging. His good hand connected with Riley's shoulder, sent her spinning. She hit the counter, felt ribs crack. Ignore it. Gregor charged. Riley sidestepped, used his momentum against him. He crashed into the industrial stove, pots and pans clattering everywhere. Jenny, run! The older woman scrambled for the door, still crying. Gregor was up again. Bleeding heavily now, but rage had taken over. He grabbed a kitchen knife from the counter. I'm going to gut you, little mouse. He lunged. Riley caught his wrist, redirected the blade. Twisted. The knife plunged into his own shoulder. Gregor screamed. Riley swept his legs, put him on his back, pressed her boot against his throat. Who else knows about the senator? She demanded. Go to hell. She pressed harder. Who else? Victor will kill you. He'll kill everyone. Victor's next. Riley pulled the knife from his shoulder. He screamed again. "But first you're going to tell me everything about the Morozov network." Gregor's eyes flickered. Fear. "How do you know that name? They killed 7 of my people. 7 operators who were my family. I've been hunting them for 6 months. Riley leaned close. "Now I find them here. In my camp. Planning another murder. So you're going to tell me everything, or I'm going to make the next few hours of your life extremely unpleasant." Gregor stared at her, really seeing her now. Not the maintenance girl. Not the scared little mouse. The ghost. "You're her," he whispered. "The woman from Yemen. The survivor. Victor has a file on you." Riley went cold. "What file?" "The Morozov network has been tracking you for months. They knew you survived. They knew you'd come looking for answers eventually." Gregor laughed, blood bubbling on his lips. "This isn't coincidence, little ghost. This is a trap." The words hit Riley like a physical blow. A trap. They knew she was here. They'd known all along. "Victor chose this camp because of you," Gregor continued. "Kill the senator, yes, but also eliminate the last loose end from Yemen. 2 objectives, 1 operation." Riley's mind raced. If Victor knew who she was, then everything had changed. The timeline. The plan. Stone's position. Stone. The senator isn't the only target, she realized. Morrison is bait. You want me to expose myself protecting him. Gregor smiled. Now you understand. Riley grabbed his collar. Where are the others? Where's Victor right now? Too late. Gregor's smile widened. Victor already knows you're here. He's been watching the whole time. The moment you attacked me, the signal went out. On cue, Riley heard engines starting outside, vehicles moving, men shouting in Russian. She'd been played. She'd walked right into their trap. Riley released Gregor, ran for the door. The 2 black Suburbans were pulling out of the parking lot, heading east, toward Morrison's location. They were making their move. 48 hours early. Riley grabbed her radio. Stone, come in. Static. Colonel Stone, respond. Nothing. She tried again. And again. And again. Nothing but static. Either Stone's radio was destroyed, or he was already dead. Riley looked at the departing vehicles, then at her own position. No transportation. No backup. 8 killers heading toward a target 15 miles away. And somewhere in the swamp, Tommy Chen was probably about to do something stupid. She had maybe an hour before Victor reached Morrison. Less if they were pushing hard. An hour to stop 8 men. An hour to save a senator. An hour to get revenge for her dead team. Riley ran for the equipment shed. There was an ATV inside something Stone used for perimeter checks. Old, unreliable, but faster than running. She found it hot-wired. The ignition felt the engine sputter to life. Not much, but enough. Riley gunned the throttle and tore into the night following the dirt road east. Wind whipped her face. Her broken ribs screamed with every bump. Ignore it. Focus. Somewhere ahead, Victor Sokolov was about to learn what happened when you underestimated a ghost. The swamp flew past in a blur of shadows and fog. Riley pushed the ATV harder, faster engine, whining in protest. Her radio crackled. Ghost, repeat, ambush, Stone's voice. Broken, faint. Stone, can you hear me? Stone? They're here. Morrison's guards. Down. The transmission cut off. Riley's heart seized. Stone was alive, for now. But he wouldn't be for long. She had 10 minutes, maybe less. 10 minutes to cover 15 miles. 10 minutes to save the only family she had left. The ATV hit a pothole. Riley nearly lost control, fought the handlebars, kept going. 8 men, 1 senator, 1 old soldier, and her. The odds were impossible. But impossible was what ghosts did best. The road curved ahead, disappearing into darkness. Beyond it, somewhere in the Louisiana night, death was waiting. Riley pushed the throttle all the way down. She was done hiding, done running, done pretending to be someone she wasn't. Lieutenant Riley Dawson was going to war, and God help anyone who stood in her way. The ATV died 3 miles from Morrison's lodge. Riley didn't slow down. She abandoned the machine and ran, her broken ribs grinding with every stride. Pain was just information. Information she could ignore. 2 miles. 1 mile. Half a mile. She heard gunfire ahead, short bursts, controlled, professional. Victor's team had already engaged. Riley pushed harder. The lodge emerged through the trees. A sprawling hunting cabin, 2 stories wrap-around porch. 2 bodies lay in the front yard. Morrison's private security. Both shot clean through the head. Movement on the 2nd floor. Shadows behind windows. Riley circled wide, approached from the east side. She counted muzzle flashes. 4 shooters on the ground floor. At least 2 more covering the perimeter. 6 accounted for. Where was Victor? Where was Stone? She found her answer behind the tool shed. Colonel Marcus Stone sat propped against the wall, hand pressed to his stomach. Blood seeped between his fingers, dark and spreading. Riley. His voice was weak. Knew you'd come. She dropped beside him, assessed the wound. Gut shot. Bad, but not immediately fatal. He had maybe an hour without medical attention. How many inside? She asked. 4. Victor took Morrison and his daughter upstairs, using them as leverage. Daughter, Emma, 16 years old. She was visiting for the weekend. Stone coughed, blood flecking his lips. They didn't expect her. Victor's improvising. A hostage complicated everything. Where are the other 2? Patrolling. I got one before they got me. Stone gestured weakly toward a body 20 yards away. That leaves 5 plus Victor. 6 men. 1 hostage. 1 dying mentor. Riley had faced worse odds. Not by much, but she had. Stay here, she said. I'll come back for you. Riley. Stone grabbed her wrist. His grip was surprisingly strong. Victor knows who you are. He's been planning this for months. Don't underestimate him. I won't. And Riley. Stone's eyes locked onto hers. Your uncle would be proud. I want you to know that. Whatever happens tonight, David would be so damn proud. Riley felt tears threatening. She forced them down. Tell him yourself when you see him, she said. But not tonight. She moved toward the lodge. The first guard never saw her coming. Riley approached from his blind spot, waited until he turned, then struck. Knife across the throat. Quick. Silent. He dropped without a sound. 4 plus Victor. She dragged the body into the bushes, took his radio, listened. Russian chatter. Status updates. All clear signals. They didn't know their perimeter was compromised. Good. Riley moved to the east entrance. Locked. She picked it in 12 seconds, slipped inside. The ground floor was dark, except for tactical flashlights sweeping in patterns. 2 men near the front, 2 near the stairs. They were guarding the only way up. Riley checked her ammunition. 42 rounds pistol. 12 rounds rifle. Not enough for a prolonged firefight. She'd have to be surgical. The first pair went down fast. Riley emerged from the shadows, double-tapped both before they could raise their weapons. The suppressor muffled the shots to soft coughs. The second pair heard something. They turned weapons up. "Contact!" Riley dove behind a couch as bullets tore through the air. Wood splintered, glass shattered. She rolled, came up firing. One down. The other was good. He used cover, returned fire with precision. Former military, definitely. Spetsnaz training. Riley's magazine ran dry. She dropped the pistol, pulled her back up, kept shooting. The Russian advanced, forcing her back. He was bigger, stronger, better positioned. But Riley knew something he didn't. She let him push her toward the kitchen. Let him think he was winning. Let him get confident. When he came through the doorway, she was waiting. The cast-iron skillet connected with his face at 40 miles per hour. He staggered. Riley swept his legs, mounted him, drove her knife into his chest. He stopped moving. 4 down, 1 patroller still outside. Victor and the hostages upstairs. Riley grabbed a fallen weapon. Russian-made SR-3 Viker, compact assault rifle. 30 rounds. Better than what she had. She moved toward the stairs. "That's far enough, Ghost." Victor's voice amplified through a speaker system. Riley froze. "I know you're down there. I heard my men die. Impressive work. Truly." Victor's tone was conversational, almost friendly. "But now we have a problem. You see, I'm holding a 16-year-old girl with a gun to her head, and I really don't want to kill her. Children are messy. Bad for the conscience. But I will if you force me." Riley's jaw tightened. "Here's what's going to happen," Victor continued. "You're going to put down your weapons. All of them. Then you're going to walk up these stairs with your hands visible. We're going to have a conversation. A civilized conversation between professionals. And if I refuse, then Emma Morrison dies. Then her father dies. Then I burn this building to the ground and disappear into the night. Your choice, Ghost." Riley calculated. She could storm the stairs, but Victor would have the high ground. Even if she killed him, he might get a shot off first. The girl could die. She couldn't risk it. "How do I know they're still alive?" A pause. Then a new voice. Male, older, terrified. "This is Senator Morrison. Please, whoever you are, do what he says. My daughter. She's just a child. Please." Then a younger voice. Female. Trembling. "Don't hurt us. Please, don't hurt us." Emma. 16 years old. Caught in the middle of something she couldn't possibly understand. Riley closed her eyes. 7 dog tags in her pocket. 7 names she carried everywhere. She couldn't add an 8th. "Fine," she called out. "I'm coming up." She set down the rifle, removed her pistols, laid the knives on the floor. Then she walked toward the stairs. Victor was waiting at the top. Tall, composed, that same cold smile from the camp. He held Emma Morrison against his chest, pistol pressed to her temple. Senator Morrison knelt nearby, hands zip-tied behind his back. A bruise darkened his cheek. "Lieutenant Riley Dawson," Victor said. "Call sign Ghost, the only survivor of Yemen. I've been waiting to meet you for a very long time." "You know my name. I don't know yours." "Viktor Sokolov, though I suspect you already know that." He gestured with the gun. "On your knees, hands behind your head." Riley complied. "You caused quite a problem in Yemen," Victor continued. "Your team was supposed to die. All of them. A clean operation, no survivors, no witnesses. But you escaped. You killed 14 of our assets during your extraction. 14 highly trained operatives gone in one night. They should have sent better men." Victor laughed. "I like you, Ghost. I really do. You have spirit. It's a shame we're on opposite sides." "Release the hostages," This is between us." "Is it?" Victor tilted his head. "You think this is personal revenge for your fallen team? How American, always making everything about feelings. Then what is it about business? Senator Morrison has cost the Morozov network millions of dollars. His investigations have exposed 3 operations frozen assets across 6 countries. He's become a liability." Victor shrugged. "Liabilities get eliminated. It's simple mathematics." "And me? You're a bonus. The network has a bounty on your head. $2 million for proof of death. When I deliver your body, I'll be a very rich man." Emma whimpered. Victor's grip tightened. "Please," she whispered. "I want to go home." "Quiet, child." Riley's eyes met Emma's. 16 years old. Terrified. But something else, too. Something familiar. Defiance. This girl wasn't broken. Not yet. "Victor," Riley said calmly, "you made a mistake." "Did I? You should have killed me when you had the chance. At the camp, that first day. You could have put a bullet in my head and been done with it." "Where's the fun in that? I wanted you to know who was coming for you. I wanted you to feel the fear." "I don't feel fear." Victor's smile flickered. "Everyone feels fear." "Not ghosts." Riley moved. She'd been slowly shifting her weight, positioning her legs, waiting for the right moment. Victor was confident. Overconfident. He thought she was helpless. He was wrong. Riley launched herself forward, not at Victor, but at the floor. She slid across the hardwood, grabbed the knife she'd hidden in her boot, and threw. The blade caught Victor's gun hand. He screamed, dropped the weapon, released Emma. "Run!" Riley shouted. Emma ran. Victor recovered faster than expected. He charged, tackled Riley before she could stand. They crashed through a doorway into a bedroom. He was bigger, stronger, had reach advantage. But Riley had trained with men twice his size since she was 18. She took his first punch on the shoulder, used the momentum to roll, came up with an elbow to his jaw. He staggered. She pressed the attack. Knee to his stomach. Palm strike to his nose. Blood sprayed. Victor laughed. "Good," he said, spitting red. "Very good. But I've been fighting since before you were born." He caught her next strike, twisted her arm. Riley felt tendons strain, almost snap. She dropped, rolled into the pressure, broke his grip. They separated. Circled. "Your team died screaming," Victor said. "Did you know that I listened to the radio intercepts? Martinez begging for air support. Sullivan praying to God. Rodriguez calling for his mother." Riley's vision went red. "They trusted you," Victor continued. "Their commander, their leader. And you failed them." "Shut up. You left them to die. Saved yourself. What kind of leader does that?" "I said shut up," Riley attacked. Fury driving her now. Every strike meant to kill. Victor blocked. Countered. Caught her with a kick to her broken ribs. She went down hard. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't move. Victor stood over her, retrieved a knife from his belt. "I was going to make this quick," he said. "Professional courtesy between operators. But now," he knelt beside her. "Now I'm going to take my time." The knife pressed against her throat. "Any last words, Ghost?" Riley looked up at him. Blood in her eyes. Pain everywhere. But her voice was steady. "Yeah, you talk too much." She headbutted him. Victor's nose shattered. He reeled back, knife hand wavering. Riley grabbed his wrist, twisted felt bones break. The knife fell. She caught it before it hit the ground. And then she was on top of him. Blade at his throat. "Where's the Morozov contact?" she demanded. "Who's feeding them intelligence?" "Kill me. I won't talk." Wrong answer. She pressed the blade. Blood welled. "Last chance, Victor. Give me a name." Victor's eyes met hers. For the first time, she saw fear. "I don't know his name," he gasped. "Nobody does. He's inside your government, high level, very high. He's been feeding the network information for 15 years. What department? I don't know. Then how do you contact him? We don't. He contacts us, dead drops, encrypted messages. He's a ghost like you." Riley processed this. A mole. Inside the government. Feeding Russian intelligence for over a decade. That was bigger than one assassination. That was a national security crisis. "One more question," she said. "Who gave the order to kill my team in Yemen?" Victor hesitated. "Answer me." "The contact, your mole. He identified your team's position. He gave the order." Riley felt something cold settle in her chest. "He's the one you want," Victor continued. "Not me. I'm just a soldier following orders. He's the architect. He's been betraying America since before you were born." "Does he know about me, that I survived?" "Everyone knows. You're famous in certain circles. The ghost who wouldn't die." Victor attempted a smile. "He's been watching you for months, waiting to see what you'd do. When you came here to Stone's camp, he saw an opportunity." "Stone's camp? How did you know I was there?" "The contact told us. He knew you'd come to Stone eventually. The old man was your uncle's best friend. It was predictable." Riley's blood went cold. The mole knew about Stone, knew about her connection to him, knew where she was hiding. "Who else knows I'm here?" "Just us and the contact." Victor's smile returned. "But he's probably already informed others. You're not safe, Ghost. You'll never be safe. The network is everywhere." A sound behind her. Footsteps. Riley spun knife ready. Tommy Chen stood in the doorway, pale-faced, holding Stone's shotgun. "Jesus," Tommy breathed, staring at the carnage. "What happened here? Tommy, what are you doing here? I followed you. Took one of the camp trucks." His hands were shaking. "I couldn't just hide while you— Get Senator Morrison and his daughter out of here. Now." "What about— now, Tommy?" "He disappeared." Riley turned back to Victor. He was smiling. "You should have killed me when you had the chance," he said. She saw the detonator in his hand too late. Victor pressed the button. The explosion came from downstairs. Not large, but enough to shake the building. Fire alarms screamed. "Dead man switch?" Victor laughed. "The whole building is wired. You have maybe 4 minutes before this place becomes a crematorium." Riley didn't hesitate. She drove the knife into Victor's chest. He gasped, eyes widening. "That's for my team," she said. Then she was moving, down the stairs, through the smoke. Tommy had gotten Morrison and Emma out the front. They were in the yard, stumbling toward the truck. "Stone!" Riley screamed. "Where's Stone?" "He's still behind the shed!" Tommy shouted. Riley ran. The fire was spreading fast. Too fast. Some kind of accelerant. The whole building would be gone in minutes. She found Stone where she'd left him. Unconscious now, still bleeding. "Come on, Colonel. Stay with me." She lifted him in a fireman's carry. Every step agony. Her ribs screamed. Her lungs burned. "Keep moving." The building collapsed behind her. A wall of heat pushed at her back. "Keep moving." She reached the truck, lowered Stone into the bed. "Drive," she told Tommy. "The nearest hospital is 12 miles south. Go." "What about you?" "I'm right behind you." Tommy hesitated, then gunned the engine. The truck disappeared down the road. Riley stood alone, watching the lodge burn. 8 men dead. Victor dead. Senator Morrison safe. Stone. Stone might still die. Gut wound. Lost a lot of blood. It could go either way. But the mission was complete. She'd won. So why did it feel like losing? Because it's not over, she thought. The mole is still out there. The network is still operating. Victor was just a soldier. The real enemy is still free. Sirens in the distance. Emergency responders finally arriving. Riley retrieved her weapons from where she'd dropped them, checked her ammunition. Inventory of injuries, 3 broken ribs, possible concussion, multiple contusions, knife wound on her forearm she didn't remember getting. She'd had worse. A figure emerged from the smoke. Riley raised her weapon. Gregor. He looked like death. Bloody burned, barely standing. The wounds she'd given him at the camp should have been fatal. But here he was somehow. "Still alive, little mouse," he rasped. "So are you. I am hard to kill." He stumbled forward. Victor. Dead. Something flickered across Gregor's face. Not grief, not anger. Something else. Relief. "Good," he said quietly. He deserved it. Riley didn't lower her weapon. "You're not going to avenge him. Victor was a dog. A useful dog, but still a dog." Gregor spat blood. "The network will find another. They always do." "Then why are you here?" "To warn you." Gregor's eyes met hers. "The mole. The contact inside your government. He's not just watching you. He's manipulating everything. This whole operation, Victor, the senator it's all a game to him." "What game?" "I don't know. But I know one thing." Gregor took another step, swayed. "He wanted you alive. Victor's orders were to capture you, not kill you. The bounty was a lie." Riley's blood ran cold. "Why would he want me alive?" "Because you know something. Or you have something. Something he needs." Gregor laughed weakly. "You're not the hunter ghost. You're the prey. You've always been the prey." He collapsed. Riley stood over him, weapon trained on his chest. One shot would end him. Clean. Simple. But he'd given her information. Information that changed everything. She lowered the weapon. "If you survive," she said, "disappear. Go somewhere the network can't find you. Because if I see you again, I won't hesitate." Gregor didn't respond. Unconscious or dead, she couldn't tell. Riley turned and walked toward the road. Behind her, the lodge burned to ash. Ahead of her, nothing but questions. What did she know that the mole wanted? What did she have that was worth all this death? Why had Victor been ordered to capture her instead of kill her? The answers were out there. Somewhere. Hidden in the shadows where men like the mole operated. She would find them. She would find him. And when she did, there would be no mercy. The sirens were closer now. Red and blue lights flickering through the trees. Riley melted into the darkness. The ghost was just getting started. Riley walked for 2 hours through the swamp before she found the road. Her body was failing. Blood loss? Exhaustion. The adrenaline that had kept her moving was fading fast. Every step felt like dragging concrete through water. She needed medical attention. She needed answers. She needed to know if Stone was still alive. A truck appeared in the distance. Riley stepped into the road, raised her hand. The truck slowed. An old man behind the wheel, weathered face, suspicious eyes. "You okay, miss? You look like hell." "Hospital," Riley managed. "Please." The old man studied her for a long moment. Blood-soaked clothes, bruised face, the look of someone who'd been through war. "Get in," he said. Riley climbed into the passenger seat. The world tilted. She grabbed the dashboard to steady herself. "You in some kind of trouble?" the old man asked, pulling back onto the road. "You could say that." "Should I be calling the police?" "No." Riley forced herself to focus. Just the hospital, please." The old man drove in silence. Riley watched the dark swamp roll past her mind, churning through everything that had happened. Victor was dead. His team was dead. Senator Morrison was safe. But the mole was still out there, still watching, still playing whatever game he'd started. And he wanted her alive. Why? What did she know that was worth more than her death? The hospital appeared ahead, small, rural, probably understaffed, but it would have to do. "Thank you," Riley said as the truck stopped. "Miss," the old man's voice was gentle, "whatever you're running from, I hope you find peace." Riley almost laughed. Peace. She didn't even remember what that felt like. She walked into the emergency room and collapsed. When she woke, everything was white. White ceiling, white walls, white sheets, the steady beep of monitors marking time. Riley tried to sit up. Pain exploded through her chest. "Easy, easy." A nurse appeared, pressing her back down. "You've got 3 broken ribs, a concussion, and you lost almost 2 pints of blood. You're not going anywhere for a while." "How long have I been out?" 18 hours. 18 hours. Anything could have happened in 18 hours. "There was a man," Riley said urgently. "Older gut shot. He would have come in before me." "Is he Colonel Stone?" The nurse's expression softened. "He's alive. Barely. Surgery took 7 hours, but he's stable now." Riley felt something release in her chest. He was alive. Stone was alive. "There are people waiting to see you," the nurse continued. "They've been here since you were admitted. Government types from the look of them." Government types. That could mean anything. FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, or someone working for the mole. "I need to see them." "You need to rest." "I need to see them now." The nurse sighed. "Fine, but if you tear your stitches, don't blame me." She helped Riley into a wheelchair and pushed her toward a private room at the end of the hall. 2 men in dark suits stood outside the door. They straightened when they saw her. "Lieutenant Dawson," one asked. "Who's asking?" "Deputy Director Nathaniel Vance, CIA." Riley studied him. Late 50s silver hair, the controlled posture of someone who'd spent decades in intelligence. His eyes were sharp, but not hostile. "How do you know my name?" "We know everything, Lieutenant. We've known where you were for the past 6 months. We've been watching." Riley's blood went cold. Watching, protecting. There's a difference. Vance gestured to the room. "We should talk privately." Inside, Riley found herself facing 3 people. Vance took the chair across from her. A younger woman in a crisp suit stood by the window. And in the corner, looking pale, but very much alive, sat Senator James Morrison. "Lieutenant Dawson," Morrison said, rising, "I wanted to thank you personally." "Senator, you shouldn't be here. Try stopping me." Morrison crossed the room, took her hand. "You saved my daughter's life. You saved my life. The least I can do is look you in the eye and say thank you." "I was doing my job." "Your job?" Morrison shook his head. "You've been off the books for 6 months. No active duty, no official mission. You did this because it was right. That's not a job. That's character." Riley didn't know how to respond. "Emma wanted to come," Morrison continued, "but I thought that might be too much. She did ask me to give you this." He handed her a folded piece of paper. Riley opened it. A drawing. Simple, but heartfelt. 2 figures standing together. Above them, in a teenager's handwriting, "Thank you for saving my dad. You're my hero." Riley's eyes burned. "She's a good kid," she managed. "She is. And she's alive because of you." Morrison stepped back. "I'm told you have questions. Deputy Director Vance can answer most of them. But if there's anything you need, anything at all, you have a friend in Washington." He left. The door closed behind him. Silence. "Lieutenant Dawson," Vance began. "Riley, or Ghost, I haven't been a lieutenant in a long time." "Very well. Ghost." Vance leaned forward. "We need to talk about the Morozov network." Riley's attention sharpened. "You know about them." "We know they've been operating inside American intelligence for over 15 years. We know they're responsible for at least 71 American casualties across multiple operations. And we know they have a mole somewhere high in our government." "Victor told me about him, before he died." "What did he tell you?" "That the mole has been active for 15 years, that he operates through dead drops and encrypted messages, that nobody knows his real identity." Riley paused. "And that he wanted me alive." "Victor was ordered to capture me, not kill me." Vance exchanged a look with the woman by the window. "That confirms our suspicions," he said. "What suspicions?" "We believe the mole is connected to Yemen, to the operation that killed your team." Riley's hands clenched. "I know that already. Victor said the mole gave the order. It goes deeper than that." Vance stood, began pacing. "Your team wasn't just betrayed, Ghost. They were specifically targeted. We've analyzed the intelligence patterns, the timing of the leak. Whoever sold them out had detailed knowledge of their mission, their capabilities, their extraction routes. This wasn't a random compromise. This was a surgical strike." "Why? What did we have that was worth killing 7 operators?" Vance stopped pacing. "We don't know. That's the problem. Your team's mission in Yemen was standard reconnaissance, nothing special, nothing high value. But someone wanted them dead badly enough to expose a 15-year intelligence operation. And now they want me." "Now they want you," Vance agreed. "The question is why?" Riley's mind raced. Yemen. What had happened in Yemen that was worth all this death? The mission had been simple. Recon on a suspected weapons depot. 4 days in hostile territory, gather intelligence, extract. Routine. Except nothing had been routine. "The depot," Riley said slowly. "We found something at the depot." Vance went very still. "What did you find?" "Documents, encrypted files on a laptop. We didn't have time to analyze them. Martinez grabbed everything, uploaded it to the cloud before we were hit. Those files were never recovered. The upload was incomplete, corrupted. We got fragments, nothing usable." Martinez said something before he died. Riley closed her eyes, forcing herself back to that moment. The blood, the screaming, Martinez's hand in hers. He said Blackwood. He kept repeating it. Blackwood knows. Blackwood is the key. Vance's face went pale. "What is it?" Riley demanded. "What's Blackwood? Not what. Who?" Vance's voice was barely above a whisper. "Senator Richard Blackwood, chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, one of the most powerful men in Washington." Riley felt the floor shift beneath her. "You think a senator is the mole?" "I think we need to be very careful about what we say next." Vance glanced at the woman by the window. She nodded, pulled out a device, swept the room for bugs. "Clean," she reported. Vance relaxed slightly. "Senator Blackwood has been untouchable for 20 years. He has connections everywhere. Intelligence, military, private sector. If he's the mole, then everything changes. Everything falls apart." Vance sat back down. "We can't move against him without proof. Concrete, undeniable proof. And right now the only evidence we have is the dying word of a soldier in Yemen. Martinez didn't lie. I believe you, but a court won't convict on hearsay. We need those files, the documents your team recovered. They were corrupted. They were incomplete. but our analysts have been working on them for 4 years. They've recovered fragments. Names, dates, financial transactions. It's not enough to prove anything, but it's enough to point in a direction. What direction? Vance reached into his briefcase, pulled out a folder. Inside were photographs. Operations that had failed. Agents who had died. Missions compromised. 71 Americans, he said. Dead because someone in our own government sold them out. Your team was just the latest in a long line of betrayals. Riley stared at the photographs. Martinez, Sullivan, Rodriguez, Thompson, Chen, Williams, Garcia, her family. What do you want from me? She asked quietly. I want you to help us find the truth. You're the only survivor of Yemen. The only person who might have seen something, heard something that could break this case open. I've been over it 1,000 times. I don't remember anything useful. Then we dig deeper. Hypnotherapy. Cognitive interviews. Whatever it takes. Vance leaned forward. Ghost, you're not just a witness. You're a weapon. The Morozov network is afraid of you. They've spent 6 months trying to find you, capture you, control you. That tells me you're more important than even you realize. Riley was quiet for a long moment. If I do this, she said finally, I want full access. Every file, every report, every piece of intelligence you have on the network. Done. And I pick my own team. You'll work with our best, my own team, non-negotiable. Vance hesitated, then nodded. Fine. But you report to me directly. No one else. If Blackwood is the mole, we can't trust anyone in the normal chain of command. Agreed. Vance stood, extended his hand. Welcome back, Ghost. Riley shook it. I never left. After Vance departed, Riley sat alone in the hospital room, processing everything. A senator, one of the most powerful men in America, possibly responsible for the deaths of 71 of her brothers and sisters in arms. It seemed impossible. It felt exactly right. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Come in. The door opened. A young woman stepped inside. 16 years old, blonde hair, red-rimmed eyes. Emma Morrison. Hi, Emma said nervously. They said I could see you. Is that okay? It's okay. Come in. Emma crossed the room, sat in the chair Vance had vacated. She looked smaller somehow. Younger. The bravado Riley had seen during the hostage situation was gone, replaced by raw vulnerability. I wanted to thank you, Emma began. You already did, the drawing. That was before. This is different. Emma took a breath. You could have died. When Victor had me, when he had that gun to my head, you could have just walked away. No one would have blamed you. I don't walk away from innocence. But you didn't even know me. You still don't. I'm just some random girl who got caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Why would you risk your life for someone you've never met? Riley considered the question, considered how to answer honestly. Because that's what my team would have done, she said finally. The people I lost in Yemen, they died protecting strangers. That was their job. That was their choice. If I had walked away from you, I would have dishonored everything they stood for. Emma was quiet. Then, my dad told me about you. Not everything, but enough. He said you're a hero. I'm not a hero. You saved my life. I did what any trained operator would have done. No. Emma shook her head firmly. My dad's had security teams his whole career. Professional soldiers, Secret Service, private contractors. None of them would have done what you did. Alone against 8 men with no backup. That's not just training. That's something else. Riley didn't know how to respond. Can I ask you something? Emma said. Go ahead. How do you do it being brave, I mean? When Victor had that gun to my head, I was so scared I couldn't think. I couldn't move. I just froze. But you were calm, like you weren't afraid at all. Riley almost laughed. I was terrified. You didn't look it. That's the trick. Being brave doesn't mean not being afraid. It means being afraid and doing what needs to be done anyway. Riley leaned forward. When I was 18, I was the only woman in my SEAL training class. Every single day someone told me I couldn't do it, that I was too small, too weak, too female. Every single day I was scared they were right. But I didn't quit. I kept going. And eventually the fear became just another obstacle to overcome. Emma listened intently. You froze because you weren't prepared, Riley continued. That's normal. That's human. But now you know what fear feels like. You know what it takes to survive. And next time, if there ever is a next time, you'll be ready. How do I get ready? Training, mental and physical. Learn to control your breath, your heart rate, your thoughts. Practice making decisions under pressure. The more you prepare, the less fear has power over you. Emma was quiet for a moment. Then, I want to be like you. No, you don't. I do. Everyone treats me like I'm made of glass, like I'll break if they look at me wrong. But you didn't. When Victor had me, you looked at me like I was a person, not a victim, like you expected me to be strong. I saw something in your eyes, Riley admitted. Defiance. You were scared, but you weren't broken. That's rare. Will you teach me? Teach you what? How to fight, how to survive, how to be brave. Riley studied the girl in front of her. 16 years old, privileged, protected. But there was steel underneath that soft exterior. The same steel Riley had found in herself at 18. Your father would never allow it. My father doesn't get to decide everything. I almost died last night. I think I've earned the right to make some choices for myself. Riley couldn't argue with that logic. When I'm done with what I have to do, she said slowly, if you still want to learn, we'll talk. Emma's face lit up. Really? No promises, but we'll talk. Thank you. Emma stood, then hesitated. There's one more thing. What? The man who had me. Victor. Before you came, he was talking on his phone. I couldn't understand most of it Russian or something, but I heard one thing clearly. Riley's attention sharpened. What did you hear? A name. He kept saying it like it was important. Blackwood. Does that mean anything to you? Riley's blood turned to ice. You're sure he said Blackwood? I'm sure. He said it 3 or 4 times. Something about Blackwood's orders and Blackwood will be pleased. Martinez's dying words. Victor's phone call. 2 separate confirmations of the same name. Emma, I need you to do something for me. Anything. Don't tell anyone what you just told me. Not your father, not the FBI, not anyone. Do you understand? Emma's eyes widened. Why? Because there's a traitor in our government. Someone very powerful. And if he finds out you know his name, you'll be in danger. You think Blackwood is... I don't think anything yet. But until I know for sure, you need to stay quiet. Can you do that? Emma nodded slowly. I can do that. Good. Now go back to your father. Stay close to him. And if anyone you don't recognize approaches you, anyone at all, you call me. Riley grabbed a pen from the bedside table, wrote a number on Emma's palm. Memorize this, then wash it off. That's my secure line. Okay? Emma stood, moved toward the door. Ghost, yeah, get them. Whoever did this, whoever's responsible for all those deaths, make them pay. I intend to. Emma left. Riley sat alone, Mind racing. Blackwood. Senator Richard Blackwood. One of the most powerful men in Washington. And now she had two separate confirmations that he was connected to the Morozov network. This was bigger than she'd imagined. Bigger than Yemen. Bigger than 71 dead Americans. This was treason at the highest level, and she was going to expose it. The door opened again. Riley reached for her weapon before remembering she didn't have one. Tommy Chen walked in. "Easy," he said, raising his hands. "It's just me." "Tommy, what are you doing here?" "Waiting for you to wake up. 18 hours is a long time." He crossed the room, sat in the chair Emma had vacated. "You look terrible, by the way." "Thanks." "You're welcome." Tommy's expression turned serious. "I heard what happened. At Morrison's Lodge. 8 trained killers, and you took them all out. I had help. Colonel Stone was bleeding out behind a shed." "What help?" Riley didn't answer. "You're terrifying," Tommy said. "You know that, right? That first day I met you, I thought you were just this sad, quiet girl hiding from something. Turns out you were hiding who you really are. Does that bother you?" "Honestly, a little. I keep thinking about all those times I tried to make conversation, tried to get you to open up. You could have killed me 100 different ways without breaking a sweat. I wasn't going to kill you. I know that now. Didn't know it then." Tommy leaned forward. "So what happens next?" "You go back to hiding, pretend to be Lily Daniels again." "No, that's over." "Then what?" Riley looked at him. Really looked. Tommy was young, eager, completely out of his depth. But he'd shown up when it mattered. He'd driven into danger without knowing what he was facing. That counted for something. "There's a mission," she said carefully. "Something bigger than Victor and his team. I can't tell you the details, but it's important. And you're going to take it. I don't have a choice. I'm the only one who can." Tommy nodded slowly. "Is there anything I can do?" "Yeah. Go home. Forget you ever met me. Go back to your normal life and don't look back." "What if I don't want normal? Then you're an idiot." "Maybe." Tommy shrugged. "But I'm also the guy who followed you into a firefight with nothing but a shotgun I barely know how to use. I think idiot is pretty well established." Riley almost smiled. Almost. "The world I'm going into is dangerous," she said. "People die. Good people. People I care about. I can't have that on my conscience." "That's not your choice to make. Excuse me. Whether I take risks, whether I put myself in danger, that's my call, not yours." Tommy's jaw set. "I spent 2 months watching you suffer in silence. 2 months wondering what was eating you alive. Now I know. And I'm telling you, you don't have to face it alone. You don't understand, then help me understand." Riley was quiet for a long moment. "There's a man," she finally said. "A powerful man. I think he's responsible for killing my team and dozens of other Americans. I'm going to find proof, and when I do, I'm going to bring him down." "What kind of man? The kind who has entire governments protecting him. The kind who's never been held accountable for anything. The kind who thinks he's untouchable." Tommy whistled low. "Sounds dangerous." "It is." "Sounds important." "It is." "Then let me help. Tommy, I'm serious. I'm not a soldier, I know that. But I'm smart, I'm resourceful, and I actually know how to keep my mouth shut. Use me." Riley studied him. The determination in his eyes, the set of his shoulders. He wasn't going to back down. "There might be something," she said slowly. "Research. Intelligence analysis. Nothing combat-related, but important. I'll take it. It would mean leaving your old life behind. completely. No contact with family or friends until the mission is over. My dad's dead. My mom's in a care facility with dementia. There's nothing keeping me here. Riley hadn't known that. She felt a pang of guilt for never asking. "I'll talk to Deputy Director Vance," she said. "No promises, but I'll talk to him. That's all I ask." Tommy stood moved toward the door, then stopped. "Hey, Ghost. Yeah, I'm glad you're not dead." "Me too, Tommy. Me too." After he left, Riley sat in silence thinking about the team she was assembling. Vance, intelligence support. Tommy, research and analysis. Emma Morrison, an unexpected ally with unexpected information. And somewhere still recovering from surgery, Colonel Marcus Stone. It wasn't the team she would have chosen, but it was the team she had. It would have to be enough. A knock at the door. Riley looked up. A woman she didn't recognize entered the room. Tall, elegant, expensive suit. The kind of person who screamed Washington power broker. "Lieutenant Dawson, I'm Jennifer Warren. Senator Morrison sent me." "I already spoke to the senator." "I know. He asked me to deliver something personally." Jennifer crossed the room, handed Riley an envelope. "Open it." Inside was a single sheet of paper. Official letterhead. Senator Morrison's signature at the bottom. Riley read it twice to make sure she understood. "This is a presidential pardon. Preemptive. For any actions you might take in the course of your investigation." Jennifer smiled slightly. Senator Morrison pulled a lot of strings. The president owed him a favor. "Why would I need a pardon? Because hunting traitors isn't always legal. Sometimes you have to break rules to get justice. The senator wanted you to know that if things get messy, you'll have protection." Riley stared at the document. A get-out-of-jail-free card, signed by the President of the United States. "There's something else," Jennifer continued. "Morrison didn't just send me here out of gratitude. He has information." "What kind of information?" "The senator chairs the Intelligence Committee. He has access to files that even the CIA doesn't know about. And he's found something. Something connected to Yemen." Riley's pulse quickened. "What did he find?" "The name of the intelligence officer who approved your team's mission profile. The person who knew exactly where you'd be and when." "Who?" Jennifer hesitated. Then, "There's no easy way to say this. Just say it. The officer who signed off on your Yemen mission was Richard Blackwood. Back then, he was a deputy director at the NSA. He had complete oversight of the operation. He knew everything." Riley felt the world tilt. Blackwood again. Not just a senator, an intelligence officer with direct knowledge of her team's movements. "Morrison wants you to have this." Jennifer handed her another envelope. Thicker. "Everything he's found. Classified documents, financial records, communication logs. It's not enough to convict, but it's enough to start building a case." Riley took the envelope. Her hands were trembling. "Why is Morrison helping me? This could destroy his career." "Because his daughter is alive because of you. Because 71 Americans died and no one has been held accountable. And because Morrison is an actual patriot, not the kind who just talks about it." Jennifer moved toward the door. "Good luck, Lieutenant. You're going to need it." She left. Riley sat alone, clutching the envelope that could change everything. Blackwood. The name echoed through her mind like a war drum. He'd signed off on Yemen. He'd known where her team would be. He'd been in position to leak their location to the Morozov network. And now he was one of the most powerful men in Washington. Untouchable. Protected. Above the law. Not for long. Riley opened the envelope, spread the documents across her hospital bed. Financial records. Travel logs. Communication intercepts. the pieces of a puzzle she was only beginning to understand. Somewhere in these pages was the proof she needed. Somewhere was the key to bringing down a traitor. She began to read. Outside her window, the sun was setting over Louisiana. Another day ending. Another chapter closing. But for Riley, this was just the beginning. The hunt was on. And the ghost never stopped until the mission was complete. Riley spent 3 days in that hospital bed, reading every document Senator Morrison had provided. Financial records showed offshore accounts in the Caymans, Switzerland, and Singapore, all linked to shell companies, all traceable with enough digging back to a single source, Richard Blackwood. Communication logs revealed encrypted messages sent from NSA servers during the exact window when her team's position was compromised in Yemen. The encryption was military-grade, nearly impossible to crack. Nearly. Travel records placed Blackwood in Prague 3 days before the Yemen operation. Prague, where the Morozov network maintained its European headquarters. Coincidence. Riley didn't believe in coincidences anymore. On the 4th day, she walked out of the hospital against medical advice. Her ribs still ached. Her head still throbbed. But she was done waiting. Deputy Director Vance met her in the parking lot. "You should be resting," he said. "I've rested enough." "The doctors say you need at least another week." "The doctors don't have 71 dead Americans haunting their dreams." Riley climbed into the waiting SUV. "Take me to Stone." They drove in silence. Riley watched Louisiana slide past swamp, giving way to highway, giving way to suburbs. Everything looked different now. Sharper, clearer, like she was seeing the world through new eyes. The eyes of someone who had nothing left to lose. Colonel Stone was awake when she arrived at his hospital room. He looked terrible. Pale, thin, connected to more machines than Riley could count. But his eyes were bright. "You look like hell," he said. "Look who's talking." Stone laughed, then winced. "Don't make me laugh. It hurts." Riley pulled a chair to his bedside, sat down. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. "Vance told me what you found," Stone finally said. "Blackwood. You knew him, knew of him. Back in the 80s, he was a rising star at NSA. Smart, ambitious, ruthless. Everyone said he was destined for great things." Stone shook his head. "Guess they were right. Just not the kind of great they expected. He killed my team, Stone. He killed 71 Americans, and he's been doing it for 15 years. I know. I'm going to stop him. I know that too." Stone reached out, took her hand. His grip was weak, but steady. "Your uncle would be proud, Riley. I want you to know that." "You keep saying that." "Because it's true. David always said you were special. Not just skilled, but special. The kind of warrior who comes along once in a generation. He was right." Riley felt tears threatening. She forced them down. "I'm not special. I'm just angry." Anger can be a weapon. The question is whether you control it or it controls you. Stone's eyes met hers. Don't let Blackwood turn you into something you're not. Don't let revenge consume you. It's not revenge, it's justice. Is there a difference? Riley didn't have an answer. "When this is over," Stone continued, "if you survive, I want you to promise me something." "What?" "Come back here. To the camp. Help me rebuild. Help me train the next generation of warriors." "I'm not a teacher." "Neither was I until I was." Stone squeezed her hand. "You have knowledge, Riley. Skills. Experience. Don't let it die with you. Pass it on." "You're talking like you're not going to make it." "I'm 70 years old with a hole in my gut. The odds aren't great." Stone smiled weakly. "But if I do make it, I want something to look forward to. Give me that." Riley was quiet for a long moment. Then, okay. Okay, what? Okay, I'll come back. When this is over, when Blackwood is finished, I'll come back and help you train the next generation. Stone's smile widened. That's my girl. The door opened. Vance stepped in. Sorry to interrupt, but we need to move. The helicopter's waiting. Riley stood, looked down at the man who'd given her shelter when she had nowhere else to go. The man who'd asked no questions, demanded no explanations. The man who'd treated her like family when her real family was gone. Don't die while I'm away, she said. Wouldn't dream of it. She bent down, kissed his forehead. Something she'd never done before. Something that felt right. Thank you, she whispered. For everything. Go get them, Ghost. Make them pay. Riley walked out without looking back. If she looked back, she might not leave. And she had work to do. The helicopter was waiting on the hospital roof. Black, unmarked military grade. 2 pilots and a crew chief, all stone-faced professionals. Vance handed her a tablet as they lifted off. First target, he said. Dmitry Volkov, former FSB, now freelance. He was Victor's handler, coordinated the Louisiana operation from Prague. Riley studied the face on screen. Mid-40s, cold eyes. The kind of eyes that had seen death and enjoyed it. Where is he now? Prague. He thinks he's safe, thinks the operation was a success. Vance smiled grimly. He's about to learn otherwise. What's the mission profile? Capture if possible, eliminate if necessary. We need him alive long enough to confirm the connection to Blackwood. And if he won't talk, you have the skills to make him talk. Riley nodded. She did have those skills. She'd hoped to never use them again. Hope was a luxury she couldn't afford. What about Blackwood? She asked. He'll know something went wrong in Louisiana. He'll be covering his tracks. Let us worry about Blackwood. Your job is to work your way up the chain. Volkov leads to others. Others lead to more. Eventually we'll have enough to bring Blackwood down. How long? Months. Maybe years. This isn't a sprint, Ghost. It's a marathon. Riley looked out the window. Louisiana was disappearing below, replaced by endless sky. I've got nothing but time. They landed at a military airfield 3 hours later. A transport plane was waiting, engines already running. This will take you to Ramstein, Vance explained. From there, you'll transfer to a civilian flight to Prague. Papers, money, weapons, everything you need will be waiting. What's my cover? American graduate student, art history. You're researching Baroque architecture in Eastern Europe. Vance handed her a folder. Backstory, contacts, emergency protocols. Memorize it, then destroy it. Riley took the folder. What about my team? Tommy Chen will be your analyst. He'll work from a secure facility in Virginia, feeding you intelligence in real time. Emma Morrison has agreed to be a passive asset. She'll report any unusual activity around her father. And Stone. When he recovers, he'll coordinate field operations from a secure location, but that's weeks away minimum. Riley nodded. It wasn't much of a team, but it was a start. One more thing. Vance reached into his briefcase, pulled out a small case. Inside was a medal. Bronze star with Valor device. What's this? Your uncle's. Stone had it. He wanted you to have it before you left. Riley stared at the medal. Her uncle's, earned in Afghanistan for actions that were still classified. He said your uncle would want you to carry it, Vance continued. Said it would bring you luck. Riley picked up the medal, felt its weight in her palm. Cold metal warming against her skin. I don't believe in luck. Neither did your uncle. But he believed in symbols, in things worth fighting for. Vance met her eyes. Don't lose sight of why you're doing this, Ghost. It's not about revenge. It's about justice. It's about making sure no one else has to bury their team. Riley slipped the medal into her pocket next to the dog tags of her fallen comrades. I won't forget. Good. Vance stepped back. The plane leaves in 10 minutes. Good luck, Ghost. I told you, I don't believe in luck. Then good hunting. Riley turned and walked toward the plane. Halfway there, she heard someone calling her name. She turned. Tommy Chen was running across the tarmac, out of breath, waving frantically. Wait. Tommy, what are you doing here? I had to see you before you left. He stopped in front of her, gasping. Vance approved me. I'm officially part of the team. I know. He told me. But that's not why I'm here. Tommy reached into his pocket, pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. I've been going through the files. Morrison's documents. I found something. What? A name. Hidden in the financial records. Someone who's been receiving payments from the same offshore accounts as Blackwood. Someone inside the CIA. Riley's blood went cold. Who? I don't know yet. The records use a code name. Cerberus, but whoever they are, they've been on Blackwood's payroll for at least 10 years. A mole inside the CIA. Working alongside Blackwood, feeding intelligence to the Morozov network. This was bigger than she'd thought. Does Vance know? I haven't told him yet. I wanted to tell you first. Tommy's eyes were serious. If there's a mole inside the CIA, we can't trust anyone. Not Vance, not the analysts, no one. Riley processed this. Tommy was right. If Cerberus was embedded in the agency, any communication could be compromised. Keep digging, she said, but quietly. Don't tell anyone what you found. Not until we know who Cerberus is. Understood. And Tommy, yeah. Be careful. If they find out you're looking, you're dead. I know. Tommy smiled grimly. But I didn't sign up for safe. I signed up for important. Riley almost smiled back. Almost. Good luck, Tommy. You too, Ghost. She turned and walked toward the plane. This time she didn't look back. The flight to Ramstein took 7 hours. Riley spent them memorizing her cover story, studying Volkov's file, and planning her approach. Volkov was careful. Paranoid. He never stayed in the same location more than 3 days, never used the same communication channels twice. Getting close to him would require patience planning and precision. Fortunately, patience planning and precision were Riley's specialties. She landed in Germany as the sun was rising. A car was waiting. So was a new identity. Sarah Mitchell, 22 years old, graduate student from Boston, interested in Baroque architecture and Czech history. Riley looked at herself in the mirror. Same face, same eyes, but something different underneath. Harder, colder, more focused. The ghost was fully awake now, and she was hungry. Prague was beautiful, historic, romantic. The kind of city where lovers walked hand in hand along ancient bridges. Riley barely noticed. She spent her first day establishing her cover, visited museums, took photographs, chatted with locals in coffee shops, made herself visible, unremarkable, forgettable. Just another American tourist lost in the magic of a foreign city. On the second day, she began surveillance. Volkov's known locations were scattered across the city. Safe houses, meeting points, dead drop sites. Riley mapped them all, noted patterns, identified vulnerabilities. On the third day, she got lucky. Volkov emerged from a building on the outskirts of the city. Alone, unguarded, walking toward a parked car. Riley followed at a distance, keeping him in sight, waiting for the right moment. He stopped at a cafe, ordered coffee, sat outside watching the street, checking for tails. Riley let him see her. Just a glimpse. A young American woman, shopping bags in hand, glancing at her phone. Nothing suspicious. Volkov relaxed, finished his coffee, continued walking. Riley followed. He entered an apartment building. 3rd floor, corner unit. Riley waited until dark. Then she moved. The lock took 15 seconds. The alarm took another 10. She was inside before Volkov knew anything was wrong. He was sitting in the living room laptop, open glass of vodka in hand. When he saw her, his eyes widened. "Who?" Riley hit him before he could finish. Knee to the chest, elbow to the jaw. He went down hard. She zip-tied his hands behind his back, dragged him to a chair, secured him. Volkov came to slowly. When he saw her standing over him, recognition flickered in his eyes. "The ghost," he breathed. "Victor's target. Victor's dead." "I know. I heard." Volkov's English was heavily accented, but clear. "You killed 8 of my best men. They weren't that good. They were good enough. Until they met you." He almost smiled. "I wondered when you would come. Then you know why I'm here. You want information. About the network. About Blackwood. Tell me what you know, and you live. Lie to me, and you don't." Volkov laughed. "You think death scares me? I've been dying since I was 17. Every day is borrowed time. Then you have nothing to lose by talking." "I have everything to lose. The network doesn't forgive traitors. If I talk, they'll hunt down everyone I've ever loved." "You don't have anyone you love. I've read your file." "Everyone loves someone." Riley crouched in front of him. "I'm not going to torture you, Volkov. That's not who I am. But I am going to give you a choice. You can help me bring down Blackwood and spend the rest of your life in a comfortable CIA prison. Or you can stay loyal to people who would kill you without hesitation and spend the rest of your very short life regretting it." Volkov studied her. Something shifted in his eyes. "You're different from the others," he said. "The Americans who've come before. They threatened, blustered, played games. You're calm. I've lost everything that matters. That makes things simple." "Yes. Yes, it does." Volkov was quiet for a moment. Then, "What do you want to know?" "Start with Blackwood. How long has he been working with the network?" "Since 1995. He was recruited by a woman named Natasha Petrova. KGB, later SVR. She identified him as a potential asset and cultivated him for 3 years before he agreed to cooperate. What does he get out of it? Money, power, protection." Volkov shrugged. "The usual things. Americans are easy to corrupt. Just show them enough zeros on a check." "What about Cerberus?" Volkov's expression flickered. "You know about Cerberus." "I know the name, not the identity." "Neither do I. Cerberus is Blackwood's insurance policy. Someone inside the CIA, highly placed, who protects the network's interests. They've never met in person. All communication goes through dead drops." "How do I find them?" "You don't. Cerberus finds you. If they perceive a threat, they eliminate it. Quietly. Permanently." Volkov's eyes met hers. "You're a threat ghost, which means Cerberus is already watching you." Riley felt a chill run down her spine. Already watching. "The Yemen operation," she said. "My team. Was Cerberus involved?" "Cerberus provided the intelligence. Blackwood approved the operation. The network executed it." Volkov paused. "Your team wasn't supposed to find those documents. When they did, they became liabilities." "What was in the documents? Financial records, communication logs, the same things Morrison gave you, but more complete. Proof of Blackwood's involvement going back decades." "Where are those documents now?" "Destroyed, or so the network believes." Volkov leaned forward. "But there's a copy. Hidden. In case Blackwood ever tried to cut the network out." Riley's heart pounded. Where? A safety deposit box. Bank of Cyprus Nicosia branch. Account number 7742891. The key is hidden in Prague in a locker at the main train station. Locker 247. Combination 1995. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm tired. Volkov's voice was weary. 30 years of this life. 30 years of blood and lies and death. I'm done. Just like that. Just like that. He met her eyes. Your team didn't deserve what happened to them. Neither did the 70 other Americans the network killed. I was part of that. I can't undo it. But I can help you end it. Riley studied him, looking for deception, finding none. If you're lying to me, I'm not. Check the locker. Check the bank. You'll find what you need. Riley stood, pulled out her phone, made a call. Vance, I have Volkov. He's cooperating. I need extraction. Copy that. Team en route. 20 minutes. She hung up, looked down at Volkov. For what it's worth, she said. I believe you. For what it's worth, he replied. I hope you destroy them all. 20 minutes later, a CIA team took Volkov into custody. Riley watched them load him into a van, watched the van disappear into the Prague night. 1 down. 7 to go. She retrieved the key from the train station locker exactly where Volkov said it would be. Then she booked a flight to Cyprus. The bank was old, discreet, the kind of place where wealthy people hid things they didn't want found. Riley presented the key, signed the necessary forms, and was escorted to a private room. The safety deposit box was small. Inside was a single flash drive. Riley plugged it into her laptop. Files began loading. Hundreds of them. Financial Records Communication intercepts operational reports. The complete history of Senator Richard Blackwood's treason. Dates. Names. Amounts. Every dirty secret laid bare. And something else. A list. 8 names. 8 operatives who had executed the Yemen mission, who had murdered her team. Viktor Sokolov was first. Already dead. Dmitry Volkov was second. Already captured. 6 more remained. 6 more ghosts to hunt. Riley copied the files, encrypted them, sent them to 3 separate secure locations. Then she destroyed the flash drive and walked out of the bank. On the street, she called Vance. I have it. Everything we need. How solid? Solid enough to bring down a senator. Solid enough to expose the entire network. Silence. Then, get back here. We need to move fast before they realize what's happening. Not yet. There are 6 more operatives on the list. 6 more people responsible for Yemen. Riley, we can let the agency... No. This is my mission. My team. I finish it. A long pause. How long? As long as it takes. We can't protect you indefinitely. Cerberus is still out there. Still watching. Let them watch. Let them see what's coming. Riley's voice was cold. I want them scared, Vance. I want them lying awake at night wondering when the ghost will find them. And Blackwood comes last. When everyone who protected him is gone, when he's completely alone, then I'll come for him. That could take months. It took them 15 years to build their network. I can take a few months to tear it down. Vance sighed. All right, but stay in touch. Regular check-ins. And if things go sideways, they won't. If they do fall back, we need you alive more than we need dead Russians. Riley hung up. She walked through the streets of Nicosia as the sun set over the Mediterranean. Tourists and locals moved around her, oblivious to the woman in their midst, who had just uncovered one of the biggest intelligence scandals in American history. Her phone buzzed. A message from Tommy. Found something on Cerberus. Meeting request. Same secure channel. Riley found an internet cafe logged into their encrypted communication system. Tommy's face appeared on screen. He looked exhausted but excited. I traced the payments, he said. The ones going to Cerberus. They route through 6 different banks, but they all originate from the same source. Which is a private investment fund based in Delaware. Guess who sits on the board? Blackwood. Not just Blackwood, someone else. Someone who's been feeding intelligence to the network for over a decade. Who? Tommy hesitated. You're not going to like this. Just tell me. Deputy Director Howard Crane, CIA's head of counterintelligence. Riley felt the floor drop out from under her. Howard Crane, the man responsible for catching moles, was the mole. Are you sure? Financial records don't lie. Crane's been receiving payments from Blackwood's fund since 2008. $500,000 a year routed through shell companies. Does Vance know? I haven't told anyone. I came to you first, like you said. Riley's mind raced. Crane was Cerberus. The man hunting traitors was the biggest traitor of all, and he had access to everything. Every operation. Every agent. Every secret. Including her location. Tommy, listen to me carefully. You need to disappear. Right now. Don't go home. Don't contact anyone. Just disappear. What? Why? If Crane is Cerberus, he has access to everything. Our communications, our plans, our locations. He knows I'm in Cyprus. He probably knows what I found, which means he's already moving against us. But no buts. Go, now. I'll contact you when it's safe. She cut the connection. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Riley answered. Hello, Ghost? A man's voice. Calm. Cultured. Familiar somehow. Who is this? You know who this is. You've been looking for me. Crane. Cerberus. How did you get this number? I have access to everything. Remember, every communication, every location, every secret. Did you really think you could hide from me? I wasn't hiding. I was hunting. Yes, you were. And you've done impressive work. Victor Volkov, the files. Very impressive indeed. A pause. But it ends now. Does it? I have people in Cyprus. They'll be at your location in approximately 10 minutes. You can run, but we both know you won't get far. Maybe I don't want to run. Ah, bravado. I expected that. Crane's voice hardened. Let me be clear, Lieutenant Dawson. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've outlasted 3 directors, 2 administrations, and countless investigations. You are not going to stop me. 71 Americans, Crane. You helped kill 71 of your own people. Sacrifices. Necessary sacrifices for a greater purpose. What purpose could possibly justify that? You wouldn't understand. You're a soldier. You follow orders. You don't see the bigger picture. Then explain it to me. Why would I? In 10 minutes you'll be dead, and everything you've found will disappear, like it never existed. Riley smiled. That's where you're wrong. Excuse me. The files. I didn't just copy them, I distributed them. Multiple locations, secure servers, dead man switches. If I don't check in every 12 hours, everything goes public. Every financial record, every communication, every name. Silence. You're bluffing. Am I? Call off your people. Back away from Blackwood. Turn yourself in and maybe I'll keep your name out of it. Otherwise, by this time tomorrow, you'll be the most wanted man in America. Long pause. You think you've won, Crane said finally. But this is just the beginning. The network is bigger than you know. Bigger than Blackwood. Bigger than me. Even if you bring us down, others will rise. Then I'll bring them down too. You're one person. I'm a ghost. And ghosts are patient. Riley's voice was ice. Run, Crane! Hide! Spend the rest of your miserable life looking over your shoulder, because one day when you least expect it, I'll be there. She hung up. 8 minutes later, she was gone. 3 weeks later, Deputy Director Howard Crane was arrested at his home in Virginia. FBI agents found encrypted files on his personal computer linking him to 16 compromised operations and 43 American deaths. He never made it to trial. Found dead in his cell, apparent suicide. But Riley knew better. The network was cleaning house. 2 weeks after that, Senator Richard Blackwood held a press conference announcing his resignation for health reasons. 24 hours later, the FBI announced a formal investigation into his activities. He fled the country before they could arrest him, last seen boarding a private plane to Moscow. But Moscow wasn't safe enough. Not from her. 6 months after Riley first boarded that helicopter in Louisiana, Colonel Marcus Stone received a package at Bayou Survival Academy. No return address. Postmarked Prague. Inside was a photograph. Richard Blackwood's face crossed out in red marker. On the back, in neat handwriting, 8 down, mission complete, coming home. G. Stone smiled, pinned the photograph to his office wall, next to the others. 8 photographs. 8 targets. 8 red X marks. He poured himself a bourbon and raised the glass to the empty room. That's my girl. Outside, a car pulled up the drive. Stone watched through the window as a young woman climbed out. Small, dark hair, moving with the quiet confidence of someone who'd seen hell and walked out the other side. Riley Dawson. The ghost. The youngest Navy SEAL in history. The woman who'd brought down a senator exposed a traitor and dismantled an intelligence network that had operated for 15 years. She walked up the porch steps, stopped at the door. Stone opened it before she could knock. You're late, he said. Traffic. In Louisiana? Gators? Riley almost smiled. You look better. I feel better. Having a purpose helps. Stone stepped aside. Come in. I saved you some of that terrible coffee. Riley walked past him into the lodge. Everything looked the same. The fireplace, the worn furniture, the smell of pine and smoke. Home. Or the closest thing to it she had left. So, Stone said, closing the door. It's done. It's done. Blackwood Crane, the network, all of it. And the files, safe, distributed to journalists, investigators, oversight committees. The truth is out there now. They can't bury it. Stone nodded slowly. What about you? What comes next? Riley was quiet for a moment. She thought about the past 6 months. The blood, the death, the endless nights of hunting and being hunted. She thought about Martinez, Sullivan, Rodriguez, Thompson, Chen Williams, Garcia. Her team, her family, the 7 names she'd carried with her every step of the way. They could rest now, and maybe finally so could she. You mentioned something about teaching, she said, training the next generation. Stone's eyes lit up. You're staying. I'm staying. Riley looked around the lodge at the place that had sheltered her when she had nowhere else to go. Someone once told me that the dead don't want us to suffer. They want us to live. To make their sacrifice mean something. Smart person. He had his moments, Stone laughed, then crossed the room and pulled her into a hug. Riley stiffened. She wasn't used to affection, wasn't used to letting anyone close. But this was Stone. This was family. She hugged him back. "Welcome home, Riley," Stone whispered. "Thank you, Colonel." She pulled away, wiping her eyes. "Now about that coffee. You weren't kidding. It really is terrible." "I know. Jenny's been trying to teach me for 15 years. Stone headed for the kitchen. "Come on, I'll make a fresh pot." Riley followed him. Behind her, through the window, the Louisiana sun was rising over the swamp. A new day, a new beginning. The ghost had come home. Not to hide, not to run, but to build, to teach, to pass on what she'd learned to the next generation of warriors. Because that's what her team would have wanted. That's what her uncle would have wanted. That's what heroes do. They pushed her into the mud and called her weak. They laughed at her for being young and small and female. They thought she was nobody. They were wrong. She was Lieutenant Riley Dawson, call sign Ghost, Navy SEAL, survivor, teacher. And her story was just beginning.